Hello and welcome to another puzzle solving session. Let's see if we get some interesting challenges today. Okay, so the first puzzle starts with white capturing our e5 pawn. And first things first, let's start looking for checks. So the first thing that comes to mind is queen to f2 check, which would force the king to escape to h1. Now we see an interesting tactic. So if we put a check here, our queen will be recaptured by the rook. So we lose a queen in this case, but we can recapture with our own rook, thus resulting in a checkmate. And this is a typical scenario. I think it's called backrank checkmate or something like that, where the king is hidden behind like 2 or 3 pawns depending on the situation, and there's no piece protecting this line, and so if we put a check in this line, the king has no escape squares. So let's try that. Check, check, and mate. Okay, so apparently there's no theme yet. I wonder if there's a relevant theme here. But the list comes up empty for some reason. Okay, no problem. Let's move on to the next puzzle. Okay, and again we lost a pawn, and at the same time the rook is attacked twice. And now notice here that again the king is hidden behind 3 pawns, and that if we capture this rook it will be a check, but since the king can't escape, it's going to be a checkmate. So it's not too different from the previous challenge. And let's see if there's a pattern here. Select theme, no. I'm trying to remember the name of this pattern because I keep seeing it often. I think it's backrank checks or something like that. Okay, now this looks a little bit different. Okay, so white displayed f5, and the threat seems to be queen to g7, which is enabled by this knight but also by this rook, and there's no protection against it. So it looks like we will have to force a checkmate before the opponent checkmates us. And to do that there are a couple of options. For example, we can place this f5 check, but then king can capture the bishop because it will be hanging following this move. The knight here is protecting this bishop, and the bishop is protecting this square. Notice that the pawn plays an instrumental role here because it protects these 2 squares. So thanks to the pawn, our knight is safe. And if we put rook to e2 check, I think it will cover all the escape squares for the king. So these would be covered, as would these. Right, so let's go for that. It looks like it's checkmate in 1. One thing I forget to mention is that there's an analysis board that you can use to study the potential alternatives. So for example, if you somehow fail at one of these tactics and you want to understand why, you can come to the board and see what it has to offer. So for example, let's assume that instead of playing this move, we had instead played this check. I think we have to wait for white to move. So right off the bat, here it says M1, and the bar is colored in black, so it means black has a mate in one move. And on this side, you can also see that white has a couple of checkmating sequences. So for example, let's say we blundered and we captured with the rook, with the knight, and now the bar is colored in white, so white has a mate in 4 moves, and you can see the exact moves here. So queen takes, knight with a check, and you can click on it again, king escapes, and rook sacrifice, king captures, and then check again with the rook. And now the only legal move is this, to block the check, but then if white captures, it's a checkmate for white. So this analysis interface is very useful, and I think it's available regardless of the type of membership you have with chess.com. For example, I have a regular membership right now and I'm still able to use it. So for example, there's something I want to check. Remember that I said that white has a mate in 1, so why is that not proposed here? So let's try that move. Actually, I think if we move the knight to another square, that's irrelevant. We can have mate in 1. Okay, so it looks like it's still relevant. For example, if the knight moved here, it would protect this. So now it's mate in 2, because the white player would have to capture, sacrificing the queen and forcing the black knight to recapture, and white can retaliate with this checkmate. Right, so that's pretty much it for today. Let's see if there's another challenge, although I don't think so. Oh, okay. Still not sure why I have another account and I get 5 puzzles per day, but in this new account I get only 3 puzzles. But thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.